Hi everyone, it's Justine here from House of Mahalo. Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to another Mass Make Monday. So today I thought we would do things a little bit differently and we are going to mass make notebooks. Very simple notebooks, 40 pages inside. And I just happen to be using the Edith Holden book pages to make mine. This is an example of what we're going to make. But you can use any book pages. So what you want is 2 individual book pages that we're going to join together, and we're going to line the inside with scrapbooking paper. So it'll also use up some of those if you've got lots of those lying around. So all it is I'm using the cover book pages from Edith Holden. I'm using a simple text page usually on the back, and in this case I've added this decoration to it. I don't want to undo the closure, which is why I'm leaving it on. And it's just a series of tea-dyed papers, as I say, 40 pages with scrapbooking paper inside. Now I made that one to go with my ring-bound journal, which is very nearly finished, so that is for that one. But whilst I was, making that one and coming up with a plan and all the rest of it, I found that I had an absolute ton of the cover pages, which I don't know what I was holding on to them for. I have no idea. So this is going to be my mass make today, and I thought I would film the process in case it's of use to you or you get some ideas from it. Okie dokie. So what you want, as I said, you want your front cover page and whatever you're going to use as the back. So what you're going to lose what's on the inside, so in this case the copyright information and the snake, which, well, I don't know about you, but I'm not so worried about that myself. And what you want is the back cover to be roughly ½ an inch wider than your front cover image. So when you're cutting them down, cut them down like so, because we are going to use that back page to score a flap into it. Okie dokie, so this is the back, this is what I'm going to use as the back cover, this is what I want to see. So flip it over, upside down, and we're going to score ½ an inch on the right hand side, like so. So then we can flap that over, and then that's what's going to attach to our front page. We're going to glue that flap down, and then before you know it, you have the beginnings of a notebook. So as you can see, I'm mass making them, but I wasn't going to sit here and do 12 or something on video, because that would be very boring. So I have just sat here and done a load off screen. So all you want to do is just take your glue, run it down that flap, and then just position your front cover. Just line things up neatly, or as neatly as you can. Don't worry too much if your covers don't match completely at this point. You can always cut things down once they're joined together. All we're aiming for is a flat flap, and for that front cover to be right butt up to your score mark that you did, but not over the crease. So right butt up as close as you can, but not over, because that will affect the notebook. And because we're putting scrapbook paper on the inside, that's what's going to reinforce our little, not so much a spine, but where we're going to sew the papers in. So there we go. So I've just got another one here. So as I say, glue that flap. So if you've got any book pages, single book pages, which you think might make a little notebook, then this is a great use for them. As I say, for some reason, I don't know why I had so many of these front covers. Obviously, over the years, I have taken apart a lot more Edith Holden books than I realised that I had. And yeah, I don't know, was I holding on to them for something? Beats me, I haven't got a clue. And as I say, I found them all. So that one's just going to have a plain back. And then I thought, well, what can I do with these? I mean, So yeah, this is what we're doing. Okie dokie. So then we want to line them with the scrapbooking paper. So I've just taken a series of scrapbooking papers where I like them for Edith Holden. So, you know, we've got a bit of yellow, we've got botanical ones, we've got a bit of pink, a bit of purple with birds, some flowers. And I've taken pieces that I wasn't really going to use these for anything else as well. Some nice roses, and then we've got I think a couple of those with the birds and flowers, and then a plain brown one. Because the you know, I wasn't going to use them for anything else, so it kind of gets through them as well. Of course, I'm going to make a series of scraps. But of course, it's a never-ending battle against the scraps, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to take the cradle, and we're just going to simply run the glue all inside your cover. Now I am sewing around my covers because A, I like the look, and that's pretty much it. A and B and C, I like the look of it. So that's what I will be doing, but you don't have to. If you are just going to glue them, then just, you know, take a bit more time over the gluing process than anything you'll see me do, because for me the glue is just really to hold it in place until I get to the sewing machine. But you do not need a sewing machine for this project. Okie dokie. So we'll do that, and then we just want to cut around it. Now, if you are going to do this with Edith Holden, I cut the book pages down slightly before filming. I think I might have cut off about ½ inch so that they would be more in line with the size of my papers. But you don't have to do that part. So just snippety snip. There we go. So 2 lovely scraps for something. So I am keeping the scraps somewhere. And then whilst that glue is still setting, we just want to make sure that we're getting the spine in there, because otherwise, you know, we might not be able to fold it as well later. So you just kind of work it in, making sure that everything is flat, but also that you can fold it. So I just like to do this a few times just to work that glue, and then yeah, I usually find that works perfectly fine. And as I said, don't worry too much if things are not completely aligned at this point, because obviously they are separate book pages. Nothing is ever going to be super perfect. So you can see there I've got a bit of an overhang. I can just trim that off with the trimmer now that everything is glued down. So that is the mass make. I hope that you get something out of it. So I'm going to do, whoops, a couple more, and then I'm going to pause the video because I need to go off and sew them. And then I thought we'll bind a couple on video, but I'll probably do some off screen as well, because you don't need to see me do it 12 times. Once, maybe twice, not 12 times. And then we can decorate a few together as well. So yeah, I'm kind of doing today in stages. Right, now this one, unfortunately, my scrapbooking paper is shorter than my front cover. So I'm going to put it in the middle, and then I can just cut the cover down to size. I don't really want it bigger than, you know, 12 inches across, because that's a bit much, isn't it? So I'll just zoom across here. Oops. But as I say, yeah, you can do this with any book pages you like. Just so happens that I have a lot of the Edith Holden. And to be fair, you know, these book pages are nice and sturdy, which is good as well. But as I say, the that scrapbooking paper is really what's giving it its sturdiness. So yeah, just work that glue. So yeah, that one will need cutting down, but that's just fine. So I'm starting a little pile and running out of space on the desk already. So I will probably pause there because you get the idea of what I'm doing, hopefully. And then, as I say, I'll go off and sew them when I've done all the covers, and then I'll bind a few. Well, I'll bind most of them. We'll do a couple together, and then we'll get to the decorating part, which is, you know, there's not really a lot to it, to be honest, but it might give you some ideas. So I will speak to you very, very soon. Alright, so I've got my stack of journal covers, lovely, all ready to go. I completely forgot that I'm going to be rounding all of the corners, so I do need to do that before taking them to my sewing machine. So I just thought I would pop in and say that. And I'm also all about keeping it real here at House of Mahalo. So I had a casualty sad face. I don't know if you can see that, but essentially this one, the book page I think was extra brittle. Gosh, the birds are very noisy today. The book page was extra brittle, so can you see that where when I folded it, it cracked? And I think also the cardstock was thicker than the others, and on top of that I left this to dry with the glue a little bit longer because I took a little bit longer to cut this one out. So when I folded it, it did crack. Am I upset about that? Yes, of course I am. Am I going to throw this away? No, of course I'm not. What I'm going to do instead is simply run some tape along there to fix it, and then all of my spines are going to have crochet trim along them anyway. So casualties happen, and there are always ways to fix it. So, right. Rounding corners, the fun job. I don't know why those birds are so noisy. I don't know if you can hear them, but they are causing an absolute racket outside. Anywho, so I'm going to go ahead and round all of the corners, and then they'll be ready for sewing. Okay, here we go. I've got all of the notebooks sewn around. I just did a zigzag stitch the whole way around the edge. And I've gone ahead and got some papers together for the signatures. And as you can see, these ones I've gone ahead and bound them just with a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. They're still not finished, but I'm going to move them to one side so that we can, you know, focus on a couple together rather than 12. So, as I said, for my signatures, I've tried to get in some kind of pretty book page, a music sheet, which I do need to go through and take off some of the writing, just some tea-dyed papers, note papers, there's a folded over doily in there to create kind of pocket, all just random stuff, a book text and tea-dyed paper. I think I went with 10 pages, so that's 40 sides for journaling. Now, we're going to go ahead and bind them today, but before I do, I just wanted to tell you about a little trick. Whenever I sew paper, on the underside, I always find that it comes off a little bit, what's the word? Not messy, but where the paper is like punched through, I don't think the underside looks as good as it could. So I usually go ahead and run a bone folder over the back of the stitches because I do find that that helps a little bit. So it's just a case of pushing them down, and then I'm going to go ahead and ink around them as well because again I feel like that just helps just to sort of disguise where you're punching through the paper with the needle on the sewing machine. Of course, if you're not going to, you know, machine stitch anything, then you don't have to worry about this, but for those of you that do, this is something I always like to do if you're going to see the underside of the sewing. I do think it makes, you know, a little bit of difference. And then just for good measure, I also come in with a bit of ink and I just run it along the stitches. And again, it just disguises those, essentially like the white punch holes, I guess, is what I'm trying to disguise. But I do feel like this does help a bit. So we'll do that. And then, so yeah, just a little tip that I've picked up along the way, and I do find that it's helpful to know. So we're going to go ahead and get these bound in. It's just a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, so for those of you who know how to do it, you can go ahead and fast forward me. But what we're going to do is I'm going to do one of them with a bookbinding cradle, and I'm going to do the other one without. Just, you know, it helps, I think, show the different ways that things can be done. And for those of you that have never used a cradle, you might not know what they are or what they look like. I am using the one that my husband has designed. It is available on my Etsy shop, so you'll be able to see that as well. But I also want to show you how to do it without a cradle, because, you know, you don't necessarily need one. It's just if you ever feel a bit daunted by the binding process, or you do want things to be, you know, super neat, then I do find the bookbinding cradles do help with that. But either way, we will get through it together. Okay, so that's the inking done. Okie dokie. So, shall we do the cradle first or without? Let's do it without first, because I think that will be more applicable to the majority of you. So just grab some of my waxed thread and scissors. Okie dokie. And of course, for, you know, little notebooks like this, the 3-hole pamphlet stitch is just fine. And it's actually really good practice to do this type of a journal if you are new to binding them. I find it's really helpful to do this kind of process where you just do a bunch of notebooks. It's far less daunting than you know, doing a full-blown big journal sort of thing. So I'm just going to make sure I've got my papers lined up where I want them. So I'm thinking that pocket in the middle would be cool. So yeah, I just really grabbed a load of just random papers, just things I want to use up really. So I have the doily down there, move that up. Because I have a ton of stuff in this room and I'm absolutely determined that I'm going to start using stuff as opposed to just... I think what I do is I save stuff for the perfect project, and you know what, the perfect project very rarely ever comes along, I find anyway. Or if it does, you know, it comes along like in the future. Okay, like, you know, far away. You know, not anytime soon kind of thing. So I'm just going to pop some clips on. Lovely. Now obviously that one in the middle is not going to be held, so I have to be careful with that. Okay, so we do without the cradle first. So let's just make sure everything is in the spine. Lovely. And then what I like to do, take the awl, and whenever you punch your holes, you want to close the book. So if we go in the middle, as you can see, I'm closing it as best I can because that's the best way to get it right in the spine. You want sort of a pointy, I suppose, pointiness going on. Okie dokie. So that's my 3 holes. And then, I'm sure many of you know this by now, but for anyone who doesn't, we're going to take the middle hole, and either the top or bottom, doesn't matter, and sometimes I need to just double check where I'm going. Ooh, whoops. Ooh. Ooh, there we go. It's the morning, so clearly I cannot see properly today, but let's wiggle these in. And sometimes even with, you know, best effort and clips and all the rest of it, it can still dislodge things. So if you find that, sometimes you just have to work through till you find the needle comes out. You know, I don't know how many journals I've bound by now, and yet still this type of thing happens all the time where, you know, papers dislodge and all the rest of it. So, oops. Now I deliberately kept my strings quite short because I don't want to waste my thread. So let's just give me some more room. There we go. Then in through the middle. Whoops daisy. Find the needle. Where have you gone? Okay, so I can feel it's come out somewhere. There we go. There we are. So just take the needle off so I don't stab myself, and then we just want threads on either side of that middle string. Don't need the clips anymore. And then we're just going to tug. And what you might find, I find this a lot, when you go through that middle hole, sometimes you find that you've gone through your strings. So if you notice that, it's just a case of working them out. It takes practice to know when you've gone through the strings. I spot it straight away now, whereas I never really used to understand, you know, how you were supposed to see something like that. It does just take practice, honestly. It's you know, with most things it becomes second nature. And then I like to do a little bit of a double knot. I'm sure most of you have fast forwarded this part, and that's totally fine. But you know, just for anyone who, you know, might be new to my channel or might be new to all this, I would like to make sure that I'm, you know, covering all bases. Lovely. So a bit of a messy there. So I like to run my nail just against the paper just to close up the holes, make them look neat again. And then also it just helps work the papers in. Now some of these pages came from notebooks, so I will go in with, you know, washi tape here and there decoratively, but also to help with the whole thing. Oh goodness me, that wasn't in the, well, I just have to refold that because apparently I didn't have all my papers in the spine. Naughty me. It's probably because I'm just trying to do it quickly on video, you know. So again, just rubbing my nail just along you know, the punch marks just to close them up, make them look neater. There we go, that's one done. So now let's try it with the cradle, just to show you how that works and all the rest of it. So I'll just give myself a bit extra thread because I was cutting it a bit fine last time. Okay, so this one I've changed the cover for one of the image pages. I can't remember the reason why. I think it was because I had to cut the cover down and it wasn't looking quite right with the paper that I'd chosen, so I think I just covered it. So we have music sheet. I want that envelope in the middle. I've got some tea-dyed paper. Right, this time I'm gonna make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. There we go. And some note paper. We've got the doily again. All of my signatures are the same. I found it really helpful to, you know, go mass make style and all the rest of it. So this one was the problem last time, so let's get that in. Bit of paper. So those are going there. Bit of book page. I think it's that you do things at a different angle when you're on video. It's really quite interesting. Sort of, yeah. I've been doing a little bit of crafting off screen recently, and you do really notice the difference. So pop my clips back on. Okay, and then make sure that's where we want it to be. Okay, so this is the bookbinding cradle. I know some of you have seen this already. So we're going to pop the whole piece in there, and then this piece just comes inside, and then we're just going to go ahead and put our holes in. Each of these holes, my husband has designed it to be, each hole is 1 centimetre apart. So I usually just go for middle-ish and then 2 in top and bottom to do the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So what you get is you get your holes nice and neat, and we've purposefully kept the holes relatively small in this top piece so that you don't make the holes too big, because we find that, well, I've found over the years, if you make the holes too big when you're binding, it can actually make things loose. Okay, so let's find where I'm going. Oh, I've dislodged, that's why. It's because the clips weren't attached to the... what's happened here? Yeah, there we go. The clips weren't attached to the cover, so I'm just gonna put the clip on the actual cover. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? There we go. Yeah, so it keeps your holes small so that the binding, you know, you don't want to go through with the awl too much, because it can make the binding loose. It's, you know, only one of many things that can make your binding loose, but that's one of them. Big holes, you know. Oh, I missed the middle page. Oh, goodness me. And this is probably why I don't bind on video. It just, yeah, I think it's just the angle, because you're, you know, straight armed out, you know, trying to make sure that you're seeing everything that I'm doing. But hopefully someone will get something out of this video. Someone, surely. Oh dear. Right, let's try. Oh, there we go. I was there, but there we go. So just goes to show you don't need the cradle, but for anyone who does feel a bit anxious about book binding, it can help, especially as you can go through the cover, depending on how big your journal is. But the cradle can be scaled up, so if anyone was thinking, oh, I want it, but I would prefer it to actually be able to do, you know, larger books, then you know, do get in touch, because we can scale it up to a certain size, you know. So again, do our double knot. But yeah, I'm really proud of my husband for doing that. And yeah, we do have lots of other things planned. It's just, as per usual, never enough hours in the day, is there? So I'm done with all those bits and bobs now. So again, just lovely, lovely. So again, I just want to just work in those pages. Lovely. Got things in the spine this time, so that's good. Oh dear. But yeah, just a series of papers, because these are really writing journals. You know, someone can come in and decorate pages or make notes about things. This is kind of the purpose for them. I don't really know what I'm going to do with these notebooks. I don't know whether I should be putting them in my Etsy shop, or, you know, as standalone things, or if I should be doing something else with them. I have no idea. We shall see. Okay, so that's all of the notebooks bound in. So now it's just a case of doing the little finishing touches. So I'll do a few of them with you. So first things first, I'm going to get some lace along the spines. Now, I tea dyed these last night. These were all bright white, and I managed to get a really lovely soft cream colour, which is just perfect for Edith Holden. So just gonna daub some fabric glue. Now, some of them have tape along the spine, the brown tape, where some of them needed a little bit of extra sturdiness, you know, if the papers were brittle or something. So, right, so I don't want to cover up too much of my dragonfly, so I'm just gonna dot that in. So yeah, so with the brown tape, obviously it's going to show through the lace, so I was thinking I might put some book page or music sheet rather down the spines of the ones with tape on. So I'm just doing this process now because obviously if I do want to decorate any of them like I did the first one, which I'm sure I will, then obviously I need to sort of see where that lace is going over. Okay, so just get a bit of glue there. Oop. Just being careful with the Fabri-Tac, it does leave a shiny residue, so I'm just doing, whoops a daisy, trying to do just little dots of it. Obviously I've come over here a bit more, but as I say, I didn't want to cover up the dragonfly. Oops, sorry, I threw that threw that glue down a bit hard, didn't I? Okay, and then just chop those bits off. I'm going to have a lot of fabric scraps at the end, aren't I? So that's that. Just pick those to one side. Right, so what are we going to do next? I'm thinking this one could do with like a label on the front. And then, as I said, I might put some kind of decoration. So I'll just get a couple of the lace parts done. So we'll do one that has the tape, because you might want to see what I'm doing with that. So I'm just grabbing a strip of music sheet that's going to be just wide enough to cover up the tape. So go that way. Right, collal. So we'll just get the collal on here. So I hope this has been, you know, something interesting to see. I don't know how helpful the video will be to people, but I'm hoping that you've, you know, gotten something out of today. Even if it's just the idea to, I've got glue all over myself. Even if it's just the idea to, you know, use individual book pages, you know, to make a little notebook cover. I mean, you know, it's pretty cool that we can do things like that, isn't it? So I'm just going to work that in. Try not to get too much glue seepage just in. All of it will be covered by the lace anyway, so I'm not worried. Okay, where's my... I'm just going to press this down. Okay, now we just have to be careful when we're folding this, because obviously we need to be able to fold the book, but we don't want, you know, the crease bubbling up on us, the spine bubbling up, sorry. So what I do is I just kind of work it in like we did with, you know, making the journal when we lined it with the scrapbooking paper. You just give it a chance to work itself in. And just get rid of those little bits. Yeah, there's a little bit more to this process than I thought when I sat down to start making these, but that's okay. Aha, I have glue on the desk, that's why. I always have glue on the desk. Okay, so I'm just going to fold that over and just catch any bits that come up with the little nozzle. Okay, yeah, just a little bit there. Where's the little glue? Oh, it's hiding. It's hiding under the lace. There we go. So just come in and get that. Any bits? Yeah, there. This is very old music sheet. I think it's actually antique, so it's a little bit brittle, but it's doing fine for this job. I'm just working in that little spine like so. And then we just want to cover it up with some pretty lace. I'm hoping that I've got enough lace to do all these. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So yeah, I'll make this the last one I do for this process, because it's much of the same thing. I think you get the idea of what I'm doing. So any with the tape on, I'll come along with the music sheet. And the ones that don't have tape, I'll just go ahead and, you know, put the crochet straight down. It's only because I don't think I want to see the tape through the crochet, because I just, for Edith Holden, I think it's maybe a little bit, unless I was doing an autumn project, I think it's maybe just a bit too harsh for it. Just pop that in, lovely, lovely. and I'll do all the finer bits of gluing after. So all of them are going to have a ribbon tie as the closure. It will be removable, so if people want to change it out, they can. Okay, so I just want to, whoops daisy, just get some down there. Okay, so I'm going to hit pause. I'm just going to get myself organised, and I might do a few of the laces off screen so that we've got a few more we can decorate, but sort of see how we go. So I'm going to hit pause now, and I will be back in a very short moment. Okay, so I've picked out 3 different notebooks that I'm going to do different things with, just to give you some ideas. Whoopsie daisy, knocking things over. So this first one, I want to go ahead and put some brads through this little book plate. I did try it with a metal book plate, but I think it was a bit too much for the front. So watch your fingers if you're going to do this. And then I'm just going to put some little Tim Holtz brads through this. Just for looks. They're not actually going to do anything practical wise. They are just simply for looks. So just some little ones. That's one. I just thought it would just finish it off a bit, and then yeah, one of them is going to have a pocket on the back, a little tuck spot pocket thing, so we're going to do that, and one of them I'm going to decorate how I did the first one with the botanical on the back. So I have made some decisions off screen just to, you know, make, you know, I was aware that the video is probably getting on a bit, so I just want to squish those down, but I want to make sure that you can't see them. Okay, and then put the all back, Justine. And then because I've got the brad legs on the back, I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac. And I think I wanted it there. So I don't want to squeeze down too hard because I don't want the glue to come seeping out. So I'm just going to take a moment just to do this part. Of course, if you wanted to actually use the brads, you know, for real and push it all the way through, you can do that. The only thing is you'd have to potentially cover up the brad legs on the other side unless you thought about this part of the process, you know, early on. But for me, I just felt like it would just yeah, just give it a nice look on the front. Okay, there we go, that's that one. And then for the back, I have this butterfly. Just want to, it's a sticker, so I just want to, oh, that's really sticky. Just get rid of the white a little bit. Don't know whether to cut that off actually. I might just quickly cut around that because I'm thinking that is you know, very white for Edith Holden, and I'd rather it sort of blends in. So I appreciate this video, it'll be a little bit long today, but I haven't shared a video in a while, so I hope you'll forgive me. And as I say, it is a big mass make. I mean, I'm making 12 of these things, so yeah, for me, it's actually been, you know, a couple of afternoons of filming, with sewing in between as well. It's quite a big task I set out to do, but I'm glad that I've done it because yeah, I think it's been a good use for these leftover pages. I didn't really, you know what else to do with them, so oops, I don't really want to go around the antennae. This is a very chunky sticker, gosh. I think they came in a card making kit or something. Okay, there we go. Let's just give that an ink. Yeah, I don't usually cut around the antenna, but I didn't want to cut them off, so hopefully that'll be alright. And just for good measure, I will put some glue on just in case of, you know, taking away some of the sticky. Yeah, I didn't really want a flower on the back of this one. I don't know why. I think it's because it had, you know, quite a bit going on at the front, so I felt like for this one I definitely still wanted something, and then I thought that would be really, really simple. There we go. And then of course the Edith Holden text does most of the talking, so that's that one. For the next one, I think this is the one I'm doing with the tuck spot. So on the front here I've just done the crochet down there, and I've got this from the Frampton Flora books. I do have, you know, book flip throughs on my channel, and I thought that looked quite lovely down the bottom, and then it could be a tuck. So this is quite thick paper, but I am, just to be sure, going to back it with some book text, and of course it gets something out of the scrapbooks as well, which is always a plus. So I think that'll be fine. It's not going to have like a massive card in it or anything. So, you know, just in case this gives you ideas, you know, you don't have to use these fussy cuts and stuff that we do. We don't have to just use them as fussy cuts. They can be practical as well. Okey-dokey. So that's the card I've got for in there. So I'm just going to give that one a moment just for the glue to dry a little bit before I try to cut around it. Okay. And then for this one, I thought I would do this orchid on the back. I think this is from the Edith Holden books. And then I've got this little label-y type thing. And I thought I might sort of do it like that. So it looks like, you know, when you tape down a flower in your book or something. I thought to do that. I'm just trying to decide whether I want to stamp a number on it or anything. But I'm actually liking it plain, so I think I will, yeah, just go with the plain. So this is similar to what I did for the first one, my prototype. You know, made it look like the flower was stuck down in a journal. Oops. Fiddly gluing time. So I hope this has given you some ideas of something you could sit and do. Really simple notebooks, and of course, you know, any sort of single book pages, even just single sheets of, you know, scrapbooking paper. You know, if you've got 2 8x8s or 6x6s or something, I don't know. It's just a case of having that hinge that I showed you at the beginning, all that time ago, to join them together. So I hope it has given you some ideas, or maybe you've just enjoyed laughing at my antics. I don't know. Get glue all over myself all the time. I've made a right mess making these, in terms of glue everywhere. I've got it all up my arm. I don't know how I've managed it, but and I showered this morning as well, so it's should learn not to shower on days that I'm crafting, because I have to re-shower. Yeah, I think that's enough. And then obviously it's going to have the tie around the front. So for these types where it's quite plain on the front, now of course there's more that you could do. I've decided to have the ribbon around, so I'll just show you. Obviously as the closure, but then I thought with it tied with a bow sort of thing, I felt like it was enough. Personally, I don't know, because I really wanted it to be, you know, focusing very much on the Edwardian lady part, and not sort of taking away from that, because of course you could do decoration on the front here, you know, butterflies or something, and you could even do a little bit of stenciling. Maybe I might do that on some of the plainer ones, a little bit of stenciling, but I didn't feel I wanted to add anything. And then obviously I'll just put that there. We've got the flower on the back. Okay, so obviously I need to cut that ribbon down, but you get the idea. So let's come back to this one. So just going to go ahead and cut around this. So as I said, the image from the book was on quite sturdy paper anyway. And then obviously we've added the glue layer and just this little bit of extra book text just to give it a bit more. And then obviously when that glue dries, it usually hardens things as well. So I'll just cut around here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and what part am I gluing? So I can glue essentially this whole leaf down just to keep that nice and sturdy, and then all along the bottom here. Okay, so I think that just finishes off the back nicely. Right, so I've glued that part, that's it. You know, it decorates it, and then this is the card that I'm going to have in there, but I think I need to chop this down a little bit. Yeah. So I'll just quickly do that so you can get the full effect. And then obviously some of them, when I did the crochet, because I knew that I wanted to decorate the backs of these, what's that? Yeah. I decided not to bring the crochet over because I knew that I wanted, you know, these bigger things in there. So let me just, yeah. So I might have to put, I'm just trying to decide whether I should put any more glue. I suppose if I, oh there you go, if I lodge it in there you go. Just try not to push it down too much, but I've basically lodged it underneath there and then underneath there. So it gives it a bit of decoration. Obviously I need to back the card and ink around it, but that's the idea for that one. And then obviously it will have the tie around as well. Yeah, I don't feel the need to do anything up here. I could add a butterfly, but I think it's got enough on there. So that's that one. So that's hopefully giving you a few ideas. I do have a bunch more that I need to get done off screen. Some of them are not going to be really decorated at all. Like these ones with the plain back, I'm probably just going to do a bit of stenciling and not actually add anything. So it will just have the crochet and the tie. So some of them will be like that. Some of them, like this one, I've already sort of started to decorate and it's got stuff on the back. So same as that, I don't feel the need to add any more to the back of that one at all. So some of them weren't going to be decorated anyway. So I can just sit here and sort the crochet out and get the closures on, and then that will be those. So I hope that that is giving you, you know, something to inspire you or think about. In the thumbnail I will attempt to take photos of, you know, most of these if I can. But yeah, that is my mass make. That is Mass Make Monday. Very different from the usual. Usually I focus just on ephemera. This was just a one-off because I had, you know, these projects I wanted to do, and I thought it would be a good mass make because, oh gosh, I think splitting it down into stages definitely helped. I don't know if I would have managed, I don't know if I would have wanted to do one and then come back and do another and then another and then another. I think, you know, doing it in stages like what I've done, I think has definitely helped. So thanks so much for joining me, and I will catch you very soon. Bye bye for now.